Good evening, everyone, and welcome here as we are presenting the season finale of Season 5 of the Upper Edge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series, our third and final stop at iRacing Superspeedway, and a championship hangs in the balance. We've had 8 previous races, 8 different drivers have gone to victory lane, but here tonight, will we end up seeing a 9th driver go to victory lane? Would it potentially be the driver that will be crowned champion? I'm Seth Cole alongside of Joey Chapman. Joey, here this evening, theoretically about 8 drivers in the hunt for that title. A couple of drivers up near the top of the point stands that have come up runner-up in past seasons. You've got the 2-time champ Bronson Stafford starting from the pole position. He's back in the hunt after a really good second half of this season. I mean, who are we looking at here? Because there's a treasure trove of really good talent up there, and any one of them could be hoisting that championship trophy when all is said and done.
Well, we picked the perfect race to have a finale. iRacing Superspeedway, 4, 5 wide. You can still fit another car in there. There's going to be so many guys. Even if you're the 8th guy and you think you just have a small chance of getting the championship, you have a chance. It's all possible here at iRacing Superspeedway. But listen, Bronson Stafford has to be the most veteran, the most prepared super speedway driver that we have in this field. There's a reason he's a 2-time champion. He knew he wanted to start up front tonight, prioritize staying up there, leading laps, and ultimately just try to avoid the chaos. But here's the thing. This is a big racetrack. This is a longer race. It's all about keeping calm and don't let the wrecks happen right in front of you.
Bronson Stafford is a former winner here in this series at iRacing Superspeedway, as is the driver that's alongside of him there, Mike Tellier, who won the last time we were here at this venue about a month ago. As the green flag is in the air, 55 laps around this 3-mile superspeedway, going to determine who will be the Season 5 champion, as already they're looking 3 wide into turn number 1.
Well, who else but Matt Rodden? He didn't really have a friend up there, so he's going to fall to the back, which really, to his advantage there, he could have either went right to the lead or he could have fallen all the way back. Really just one of those deals where you've got nothing to lose on lap 1. We already see a nice combination on the high side of Mike Tellier and Bob Kinney forming up, but really it's Bronson Stafford right now holding true at the front of the pack.
You saw that shot back from the bumper of the 72 of Matt Muir, who won the season opener. Back to the 6 of Chad Winstead. Winstead is the last driver, theoretically, that has a shot at this championship here tonight. 8 drivers mathematically in the hunt with double points on the line this evening as well. Robert Kenny, the current points leader, 10 points over Dylan Pote, 24 points over Bronson Stafford. They're really going to be the big 3 we'll focus on here tonight. But Blake Trawick, Connor Holden, Sebastian Miller, Sean Billman, and the aforementioned Chad Winstead all have a shot as well. The big key with the way the point system works here tonight, Joey, for any of those drivers, you got to make sure you finish inside the top 10, because that's where the points are paid out. 11th on down through 20th only get 5 points, and 20th on down only get 1 point. So if you don't finish inside the top 10, you could kiss the championship goodbye.
Absolutely, and we see the pack is relatively spread out a bit uniform right now, just in the sense of guys aren't really trying too much. Stafford not even really going to try to contest that change in the lead at this point. It's really just smartest for him to just hold the bottom line. He knows he has a teammate right behind him. We've seen some guys this season that have been very big on moving from the bottom and moving from the top and trying to block all these runs. Bronson knows that doesn't win him the race on lap 2 or lap 3. He knows right now his best bet is to just hug the yellow line.
Of course, here tonight as well, we've kind of got the races within the race. Yes, there's an overall championship to fight for, but you've also got the Rookie of the Year battle going on. That's between Sam Dyer and Cam Barnes. Dyer 18 points over Cam Barnes for that one. Both drivers have been really good here in the second half of the season. And then, of course, as well here tonight, it's the second iteration of the Dash for Dong. The drivers starting at our second Dega dual race up until last week's race from Daytona. All those race winners battling it out here tonight. Cam Barnes, DJ Stagner, Bronson Stafford, and Shane Tyrion in that battle. We do know that the 9 of Shane Tyrion is not in the field this evening, so it looks like it'll be between Barnes, Stagner, and Stanford. The highest finisher of those 3 will end up getting the cash prize. And the last time that we had the Dash for Dong in the first Dega dual race,
Whoa, 5 wide for the lead.
Woo, goodness. Oh, and
there's trouble.
Stafford. Hard into the wall goes Stafford. Poteet as well. That's 2 of our top 3 in points.
I knew right when Bronson went back from the lead and he started falling through the field, I was really questioning what the strategy was going to be behind it. I would love to just stay up front the whole race, and now it looks like he's going to have to go ahead and burn a fast repair.
You see the smoke billowing from out beneath that U.S. Air Force number 31 of Dylan Poteet. Stafford took a big hit with the front end. Also, pretty good hit with the back end for Connor Holden, fifth in points, who would have been one of the drivers to capitalize if the other drivers had been collected, and he could have made his way through without any damage.
Tellier has a big run right here. That's not an egregious move that he makes. Everybody's just trying to make room for one another. And then the 81 and the 51 just, it could be a little bit of gap whack. Matt Rod went ahead and took the responsibility for that accident, but it really just comes down to, I think everybody was trying to give each other enough room, and in doing that, two cars come together, and Stafford really gets the raw end of the deal there. So I don't believe there's any way that he cannot burn a fast repair right here. He hit the wall pretty hard. We'll go on board right here.
And I think
Five
the thing
wide.
here too, they're 5 wide after they cross the line, so they've only got the second half of the front straightaway to get this settled out until everything kind of gets narrow when they come down here to turn 1. That might have been another reason why we had the contact there between the 81 and the 51.
Like I said, I don't think anybody was doing anything. You know, when you're here on iRacing, you can tell the difference between guys just trying to go for it and making a good move, and then just doing something completely stupid. And nobody did anything stupid there. Everyone was trying to be respectful of one another, understanding that we're only about, 5 laps into the race. But really, we see Connor Holden here. He's just trying to hold his line, moves around just a little bit just to make sure that Tellier has enough room, and then just him and Matt Rod were trying to occupy the same space. Nothing you can really do there, but as somebody that's never won a championship in their life, I don't want to question Stafford going away from the lead too much. I'm not sure if maybe he just wanted to give some air to Matt Muir and let him kind of cool off there, but like I said, I really would have thought you want to try to just stay up front the whole time, hug the yellow line, because the more cars you get in front of you, that's more cars you're going to have to avoid when that big crash breaks out.
Just trying to pick out some of our other championship contenders there. I didn't really see anybody else outside of Stafford, Holden, and Poteet that got some extensive damage out of that. I did notice when we had that last onboard that the 64 of DJ Stagner, who's in the hunt for the Dash for Dong, he got a bit of it and was spinning down the apron. So we'll have to see if he ends up utilizing the fast repair, or if he didn't receive enough damage, he can keep that fast repair in his hip pocket for later on in this race. But, also when you kind of consider people wondering, well, this is a championship race, why are they going 4 and 5 wide less than 10 laps into this thing? iRacing Superspeedway, and these cars in particular we have seen, they generate monster runs. And if you don't take it, you're going to lose a ton of positions. This racetrack is all about momentum. And when you've got that momentum on a positive end, you've got to do something with it. So you saw Mike Tellier had that big run the front straightaway. He took it 4 wide. You mentioned about big push that Winstead was getting from Halm. He had to take it somewhere. You check up, more than likely you're going to have somebody behind you that's not going to be willing to check up, and you're going to have a wreck nonetheless.
Right, and one thing that I absolutely love about this track are the big runs. You can lay back for about a lap and say, hey, I want to go for the fastest lap, try to get a point for that. And next thing you know, you're catching the draft just barely. You might be almost a second and a half behind. You catch just a sniff of the draft, and next thing you know, within a lap, you're ready to just pass the entire field. So right here we see pit stops going on. Stafford gets on. Stafford actually did not use his fast repair. He's trying to just go through everything right now, and maybe he's just going to try to hold on to the pack, save that fast repair for later.
Yeah, what I also saw that was interesting was I think I saw the 10 of Robert Kenny peel off onto pit road, and he was up I believe around the 4th or 5th position. So giving up the track position there, maybe feeling that since a couple of his championship competitors got into early trouble, come down pit row, maybe top off the fuel tank here in case we get into a long green flag run. Interesting call there out of the driver of the 10. The highest he finished up in the championship points back in Season 3 was runner-up to the eventual champion Bronson Stafford. Would love to get that one position better and have a championship here in this series.
Hey, Joey, out of curiosity, do you got the keys to the Choose truck?
I absolutely do.
Thank you, buddy. Do you
know,
need
so
one more lap to set it up, or
we forget that coming into this a little bit later that we do have a Choose truck for this race.
Not a Choose truck, a Choose brick. That's what we called it before it came on the air.
Choose brick. The biggest thing right now is we want to be sure that I got to look in my rear view mirror here to see that I'm not going to murder anyone on the way out. All right. Turning up the track. All right. So right now I'm going to park it about right here.
A lot more security for Joey Chapman, our Choose cone.
I got to make sure I don't get the black
week.
flag here. I can't disqualify myself. I need to clear my penalties. All right, here we go. Everybody's coming at me right now. If you hit me, it doesn't hurt me.
A lot more security than that Formula V they put you in last time out at Daytona.
Absolutely. There's just a part of me that kind of wanted to rev up my engine a little bit just to see what people would do. I kind of wanted to scare them a little bit.
You want to see a field scatter?
Absolutely. See one more car coming up the way here, and we're going to give them some time to choose.
Had about a
Gonna
half
see if
dozen
they go
drivers
top or
on pit road
bottom.
there. Looked like coming to this one to green as well.
Yep, so I believe Stafford's probably going to elect to go to the top here, and then it's going to be my turn to turn this thing around. Here we go.
So Jacob Holm, who we saw working very well with Chad Winstead, he'll be to the outside of the 6. We'll see if those two might utilize the Joey Logano coin phrase okie dokie here, get hooked back up for the upcoming restart. Looks like the Rosers, and I believe that's the 06 of Sean Billman. Going to make up row number 2, and then Ty Smith going to be on the inside of row 3 alongside of Jason Shuey.
And I thought last week whenever we had an early caution that we were going to see guys try to take it a little bit easy and whatnot. Didn't really see that. So knowing that this is a championship race, this is going to be the big question. Are guys going to give a lot? Are they going to push? Whatever. I'm very excited to see how this restart goes. I just don't know if someone like Stafford is going to be able to hang on to the field. That early wreck could have been a big hurt. What am I saying? Could have been a big issue for his championship hopes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to follow up on. I remember back to the race that we had at Atlanta Superspeedway, he ended up getting up into the wall, and I thought, he was probably going to get mired around 10th through 15th for the entire night. He was able to work his way up into the top 3. However, that was a 1.5-mile racetrack here this evening, 3 miles higher speed, so we'll see if that car is going to be able to at least stay up with the lead pack. He may not be able to lead a line, but as long as he can stay up here in this lead group, not lose the draft, I think that's what he's looking for before he eventually gets to the pit stop where he would take on the faster pair.
Very uniform restart right now. We see a lot of single file racing, and that's the thing. You got to remember it's going to take these cars about till the middle of turn 3 and 4 to truly be up to speed. Just kind of uniform first 5 cars on the bottom, kind of trying to break away a little bit as they race side by side behind them. And right now, towards the back of the pack, we see fellow championship competitors, Bronson Stafford and Bob Kinney. They might be competitors, but they are teammates. They're going to try to hook up back there, make sure that Bronson tries to stay on with the pack. And that's the thing. Sky Motorsports, Hula Monkey, it's very big on teamwork. These guys are going to try to work together just to save Bronson's stuff so they can try to battle it out at the end, because regardless of how much either one of these guys want to win the championship, they are going to be sure that it is one of them.
You can see the damage there still on the back of the 61 of Bronson Stafford. Obviously damage on the front end as well. Had impact on both ends of the race car with that wreck up into turn number 1. Dylan Poteet about 4 positions up on these drivers. He is currently 1 faster pair in the hole after he had the motor blown, making his way back to pit road, and no love for the outgoing champion there. You saw him stuck in the middle, now on the inside, that red number 1. That's Ryan Potter. We've had, in the past 4 seasons, 3 different champions, 2 of them in the field here tonight with Stafford and Ryan Potter. The inaugural champion was David Durand, and we're looking to see if we'll have our 4th different champion. Bronson Stafford, as mentioned, 3rd in points with a shot at it. And believe it or not, Ryan Potter actually mathematically has a shot at this championship, though it's very unlikely. I went through the calculations, and the maximum number of points, including bonus points for most laps led, fastest lap, lap led bonus point, picking up the most spots from start to finish, all of that would be 102 points, double that to 204 points. So technically, the entire top 20 in points had a shot at this championship, but with the 18 cars that took the green flag here tonight, it seems unlikely that anybody any further outside of the top 8 was going to have a mathematical shot of being able to take out the top 3 or 4 in points.
Lots of movement through the pack right now. Top line has finally gotten a little more gathered up. That's what allowed Sean Billman to be able to get his way out into the lead in front of Chad Winstead. Top line now ran by Connor Holden. And right now, this is where we're going to kind of see guys just try to hopefully maintain pace. Whoever's going to get the lead on the high side, they're probably going to jump down to the bottom every time that they get the chance. And that's exactly what Holden and Dylan Poteet are going to do here. But we see a strong run by Mike Tellier coming up through the middle. Holden's going to try to block that a little bit. Kenny, he must have ditched Stafford because now he's right back up there. He's going for a fast lap, and he wants to push one of his teammates to the lead.
Yeah, Mike Tellier, as mentioned, a former winner this season at iRacing Superspeedway, and also previously in other seasons has a former victory here at this racetrack. Really loves this particular superspeedway. Robert Kenny right on his back bumper, and interesting, you see on that inside line the 81 and the 31 working together of Connor Holden and Dylan Poteet. Remember, both of those drivers were caught up in the initial caution, and both had to take on a faster pair. So I think both of them thinking, let's get to the front. It might be the safest place to be, so that way we don't get caught up in anybody else's messes.
Wow, almost a big issue right there in the pack, and Holden almost threw a block that was way too late on Kenny, and that's the thing. Holden has been one of those drivers this season that has been throwing those blocks, especially from the lead, trying to, make sure that he's running both lines. And right there, it wasn't successful. Kenny wasn't going to back out of it. Now his teammate's going to push him to the lead. Yeah, you saw Dylan Poteet kind of throw out the parachute. He's dropping to the back of the pack there. The roles reversed with Kenny now getting pushed by Mike Tellier. Those Toyotas will clear for the top position. And look at Matthew Rodriguez shooting up the middle. He's got help from the 83 of Sebastian Miller, trying to see if he can get the race lead here. He'll try and pull down to that right rear quarter panel of Robert Kenny down the back straightaway. We'll see if they can get the momentum here heading into turn 3. Also, they're forming up on that outside line. Bronson Stafford's back. He, apparently, after Kenny ditched him, maybe he got him up here to the lead pack and they said, okay, I got to get up there to the front. Now Mike Tellier is there to offer the drafting help to the 61. So mission successful so far for Stafford. He has not lost the draft. And that's something that Stafford has tried to do anytime that he gets into these early accidents. He's one of those guys that wants to see, okay, I just want to try to repair as much damage if I can. If I don't have a meatball, I want to be able to just repair it. If I'm running full RPMs and I can stay on with the pack, then great. And now, after the field has been 2x2 for quite a few laps, here we go. We're about to have the top 9 drivers under a blanket running 3x3x3.
Sam Dyer at the tail end of this pack. The driver he was battling for Rookie of the Year honors, Cam Barnes, has lost the lead pack. See him running 18th, about 45 seconds back, so he'd be clamoring for a caution right about now, because if we continue to trend green, there's no doubt that this 17-car field is going to be on his back bumper and putting him a lap down somewhere, I would say, in less than the next 10 laps.
And one thing that I'm going to be testing throughout this race, if I'm these drivers, I don't necessarily have to lead every single lap, but I'm doing a lot of timing runs. I'm trying to see him. Wow, Bob Kitty's going to the bottom. Are they going to wreck? They're not going to hold on.
Winstead, Poteet. I believe Holden in that. Oh, man.
It was a gutsy move.
They're still wrecking up here. Rodriguez was in it. Jason Shuey is in it. Sebastian Miller's involved. Jacob Holm in the 76.
It was a gutsy move by Robert Kinney, but I mean, that's the one thing about this league is it's legal to go below the yellow line. The 81 of Connor Holden tried to block him all the way down there, and then he couldn't hang on to it. And I believe Poteet might be mostly done with this race. I heard a lot of frustration out of him over the radio, so that could be it for him.
Yeah, I thought before we cut here to this replay, I saw he may have had some suspension damage, and we already know he's taken on a faster pair. Man, I mean, we're not even halfway through this race, and this is almost the way that the racing is here tonight. You wouldn't necessarily think it's a championship race. This is kind of the aggressive racing we see out of drivers in a season opener when everybody starts at 0 points and there's nothing to lose.
Exactly, and you see right there, Kenny made a very legal move because that's how you can do it in this league of trying to go below the yellow line and make it work. And I mean, the 81 through the block and gets into it with the 83. And from there, I mean, it's the big one on the front stretch. There's really nothing else that Kenny could have done there except not go for the move. But if it's legal, he had the entire bottom of the racetrack and he wasn't trying to make contact. I mean, that's as I've said before, the 81 has done a lot of blocking this season, and there are just points when it's, lap 15 in a race, it may not necessarily be worth it.
And there you see right there, Kenny had already made the move. 81 in reaction moves down, and Sebastian Miller pays the price for this. Poteet almost gets through, gets clipped in the right rear. Chad Winstead nowhere to go. Keep an eye on the 76 of Jacob Holm here because he gets popped by, I believe it's the 97 of Mike Tellier. DeRoser's in the 23 is in this. Jason Shuey is in this. Ty Smith went up and popped the outside wall with the right side of his race car. Ryan Potter, he does get a little bit of it, looks like right there. I mean, it'd be easier to name off the list of drivers that weren't collected up in this rather than the ones that were. I think Sean Billman got a piece. You saw Matthew Rodriguez was squeezed up into the outside wall, but this caution is going to help a couple of drivers. Bronson Stafford, if he was planning on taking on the faster pair now on the next caution, he wasn't involved in this wreck, didn't get any further damage, and it's going to allow Cam Barnes to catch back up to the field here as well after he had lost the draft. Years on board with Rodriguez, and it's about, 5-6 lanes if you count the apron here on the front straightaway, and it didn't seem like any of those lanes were a viable option to avoid this one.
And Matt Rudd did everything he could there. He got on the brakes because right there he's anticipating cars coming back up. He thought he had the wreck mostly avoided. Then when he sees the 76 spinning back across the track at that point, I think he knew he was collected and was just trying to minimize damage. We'll see this all on board from Poteet here. So Kenny makes an aggressive move right there, gets blocked, goes to the bottom, and the 81 just kept moving down. And next thing you know, we're all wrecking. So it's not that obviously the 81 wasn't trying to cause an incident, but right there, when somebody gets below you on the yellow line like that, there's no sense in trying to continue to block them because all you're going to do is cause a wreck. So you either hope that they pass you, or if they don't pass you by the time you see right there, kept moving down, not really much else you could paint it as.
Yeah, and I can understand blocking if it's near the end of the race, but we already documented, and we've seen it during the course of not just this season, but previous seasons, just how much of a run can be generated at this particular racetrack on the schedule. It's unlikely if you throw a block that you're going to stall out that momentum. The end result is going to be what we just saw right there. You're more than likely going to end up wrecking yourself.
And one more on board.
I mean, watch right here with Kenny. You'll see the move, and then you'll see the reactionary move right there by Holden. I mean, Kenny's holding his line. He's right down there on the apron, and Holden comes down.
Wow.
Contact made there between the left rear and the right front. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure why you throw that big of a block this early on in the race, because we know if you drop to the back, you can easily work your way back up to the front. We've seen it done numerous times here.
Well, we just had an incident perhaps with the choose truck, or just avoided a massive one. One thing that's a bit of an issue here is the pace laps are so fast. So we saw it as 2 to green, and then it was 1 to green, sitting on the apron, and next thing, the cars are passing you. So thank God we avoided trouble right there. So we're going to give this one more try with the choose cone. Or the choose brick.
The choose brick. I think that's what we got to dub it. It's got to be the choose brick.
Let's see. Did we get anybody here? Good Lord.
Woo.
Doesn't get any closer than that. I am, maybe I should have raced tonight.
These drivers have already been through 2 big wrecks, and you're giving them like a 3rd jump scare here.
Maybe it's going to take me scaring these guys straight to make them keep it straight and get us green through the end here. That is definitely my bad. If anybody could make a joke out of the championship race while not racing in it, it's me.
I got some education here today. I was sent a photo of a preview of what the choose brick was going to look like here tonight. I didn't know who the figure was on the hood of that truck, and I was told it's Morpheus from the Matrix movies. And I found it kind of ironic because I was told what this truck does in relation to the cars and just how much of a tank it is in relation to these Xfinity cars. And the thought of the fact that you've got the Morpheus truck supposedly dodging bullets, I kind of feel,
sometimes you're let's see some of these drivers. Seems pretty even right now, so we'll stay out right here and probably won't be driving back around the racetrack because this thing is a little bit hard to control here and only has 3 gears and it does not go very fast. And I don't want to be in the way again. But, I do have to apologize. I feel like I've come in here completely unprepared, but, we've had a big weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway with our auto fair, and then Saturday morning we are going to have the Smith Heritage Invitational. We're going to have about 22 rare cars out there on the front lawn at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's going to be a great deal. We're going to have cars from Rob Kaufman, Rick Hendrick, Marcus Smith. So it's really going to be a phenomenal event. And then you can come to the auto fair through Sunday.
one of the tracks I've yet to go to. I've been thinking about going to. Might be going to it next year. We're gonna have to see. I haven't decided if I want to go to the Speedway or the Roval though. What would you suggest if I'm looking for like the best race between the two?
Well, listen, as the consummate salesman here, I'm going to say that you can't go wrong with going to Charlotte Motor Speedway at any time of the season. However, listen, I went to both races last year just as a fan. There's just something about the air around the Coca-Cola 600. It's untouchable. That race is so prestigious, and it's such a fun race to be a part of. So I'm always going to recommend first the Coca-Cola 600.
Sounds good to me. I'm gonna be making some future plans to get on down there to
Concord,
North Carolina.
You know a guy now.
I know a guy, indeed. He's got a brick that he drives for a truck. Green flag back in the air, and it's gonna be the 23 out in front here. Now we saw DeRosa early on in the season running consistently up inside of the top 5, top 10, kind of mellowed out near the midway portion of the season, but now trying to finish out the season strong in that Toyota. And right behind him, how about the 3 of Jason Shuey? I mean, some drivers that we haven't necessarily talked about here in the closing stages of races. They still are hungry. They still want the checkered flag to close out season 5. Might be one of them here. Maybe a little Cinderella story.
Well, to have a Cinderella story, you first have to finish the Cody Rhodes and take 2 years to finish it. Try to finish it off tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to WrestleMania here the upcoming 2 evenings, Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully nobody here ends up being the Roman Reigns to the Cody Rhodes of a driver looking to finish that story.
I mean, Bronson Stafford with his 2 championships already, he might be a bit of a Roman Reigns. We're ready for someone new.
Right. Do we have to acknowledge him?
I will always acknowledge Bronson Stafford.
To the front goes Jacob Holm. We're just having fun here tonight, folks. We've got a brick for a truck. We've got a championship on the line. I mean, how can you not have fun?
That's what this league is. It's for fun.
Absolutely.
This is all for fun.
Absolutely, and out in front, Jacob Holm, another driver that has been very strong this season, always seems to put together a good first half of the race and then gets caught up in trouble in the second half of the race, might be able to close out the deal. And how about the 83 there, Sebastian Miller, he was involved in that last big caution on the front straightaway, obviously took on a faster pair, so now he's another driver that is looking to see if he can come back from the early issue that occurred just about 10 laps ago. Oh, that's an uneven bump there to Ty Smith in the 18.
And once again, this is just one thing I've noticed consistently this year is that typically in the past when we have an early caution or two, it forces guys to realize, okay, maybe we just need to ride around a little bit, not make some aggressive bumps and aggressive moves and whatnot, but this has been the theme throughout the entire season, and wouldn't you know, we're going to cap off a wild season at iRacing Superspeedway, and these guys are still making gutsy moves.
And we can kind of start bringing out the pen and notebook and checking off some names here. Connor Holden, you see in the 18th position, 6 laps down. Unlikely that he will remain in the championship battle. Dylan Poteet, he's still on the track on the lead lap, but you can see he is fast dropping from the race leader in terms of interval, currently in the 14th position. I'm pretty sure that car got some suspension damage from that second incident, so he's hoping that the 61 and the 10 run into some problems here in the second half of this race. Both of those drivers right now, last time by, scored in 8th and 10th position.
A little bit of a two-car breakaway out front. Sean Billman holding strong in third. Doesn't really have any push from behind him, but that doesn't really matter here at this track. As long as you can be right up behind someone, you're going to get the pull off of them. And he could even be able to make a challenge to these guys as we're going to see a swap for the lead here. Could be a little bit of an overheating situation. Ty Smith gives way, and Sebastian Miller is going to go to the lead.
Yeah, we've seen that during the course of the last couple of weeks with that overheating issue. We saw it at Atlanta Motor Speedway about 3 weeks ago. Last week, it was very much so the talking point for the drivers when we were at Daytona, and obviously here tonight as well. You also have a bit of overcast here. We're heading into the sundown area, so the track will cool down a little bit maybe more speed in the racetrack, and that higher speed is going to lead to the engine overheating just a least little bit again as well. Sean Billman moving up into that second spot now. We kind of saw him hanging out at the tail end of the field first 20 laps or so. Now he feels it's time to charge to the front.
I do like a bit of the strategy now from Stafford. He's running in fourth. He still hasn't used his fast repair. Now he knows, hey, as long as I don't get completely messed up and I can get back around to the pits, if I get in an accident, I want to race right now. I want to be able to see if I can still make runs. I still want to be comfortable out here being in these pack of cars, because if you lay back in the back the entire race, chances are you're not going to be so comfortable racing around these guys, not knowing what moves they've been making the entire race, especially this season where we have new faces, guys you're not as familiar racing around, the past 3 or 4 seasons.
And, if you're any of the other championship competitors, this is scary because Stafford was caught up in the first wreck. He's not taken on a faster pair. You can still see the battle scars on that Toyota, and he's up here in the 8th position. If that car ends up taking on a faster pair in the closing stage of this race, that thing is going to be a missile to the front of the field. It's going to be even faster than it is now, so you might have a little bit of a nervous feeling if you're Robert Kenny. Interesting about Robert Kenny coming into this one as well, because Kenny is yet to win a race this season, and it has been done in this series where a driver has won the championship without winning a race. Ryan Potter did it last season, but the 3 previous seasons, from seasons 1 through 3, the eventual champion went to victory lane 2 times. So if Kenny's able to close out the deal, we'll have back-to-back seasons where a driver's been able to rely on consistency, not necessarily a checkered flag, to end up getting that big trophy at the end of the season.
Well, I think you still want to try to win one race, especially this one right here. It's kind of the old tale of what happened with Ryan Newman in the 2014 championship. Mr. Consistent all year, could have won it in the final race, but didn't get the win, and that's why Kevin Harvick was able to win the championship in 2014. It's no different here. Your goal should be, I can't be consistent in the final race. This is an absolute must-win, and I don't care if I have to take it from a rival or a teammate.
We've talked with Robert Kenny in the past in post-race interviews, and he said, I want to get to victory lane. The biggest reason, He wants to tie Bronson Stafford and Mike Taylor for most wins overall in the series. If he's able to win tonight, he would do so. Stafford and Taylor have gone to victory lane this season already. Kenny looking to close it out with a win and a championship as he will lead that lap. Now bear in mind as well, I talked about there are bonus points that are on the line and available here this evening. You get 2 bonus points if you lead a lap. You get 5 bonus points, I believe it is, if you lead the most laps. There's also another 5 bonus points out there for the driver that runs the fastest lap of the race. So all those bonus points, while they're kind of under the waves, if you will, below the surface, they could end up being very important once everything is calculated.
These lines have been relatively even as Kenny's going to move to the bottom. Stafford is now going to be leading the top line with a still pretty beat up car, but he's going to have Muir behind him pushing. Muir's been great at giving pushes, but the one thing he's going to have to be careful about, that bumper is pretty messed up. So he's going to have to give relatively square pushes. Kenny comes up for a bump and he's going to block Stafford. You can see the switch kind of going off in Kenny's head right now, realizing I want to win this race and I want to win this championship. So he's going to start getting a little aggressive. He doesn't want Stafford to get back to the lead because he knows if he does, there's a chance he doesn't relinquish it.
We saw some big blocks being thrown in the early stages of this race. Kenny's kind of in a bit of a prime position to be able to throw these blocks as well because he knows that Stafford is damaged. He's probably eventually at some point going to have to take on that faster pair. Dylan Poteet is damaged and off the pace. Those were his 2 biggest competitors coming in. Kenny's still got the faster pair waiting in the wings if he needs it. So he can kind of be a little bit more aggressive here, take those chances to keep the 61 in his rearview mirror. But how about Matt Muir up there on the top side, looking for a bookend season? He took the checkered flag in the first race of the year back at Talladega. He'd love to win the last race of the season in what's his second full-time season here in the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series.
Big push coming to Muir right now from the 76 of Halm. And he's going to try to move down to the bottom, get down in front of Kenny and shuffle him and Stafford back. But the 76, I think he wants to get up front and start leading some laps. He's going to have help from the 23 behind him, and right now it's really just a matter of waiting. I feel like these guys, this view on the back straightaway, just cars weaving from the top and to the bottom and back. You know, that's the beauty of iRacing Superspeedway. These guys have a lot of room to be able to negotiate. So you don't necessarily win anything by just staying in one line. That's what makes this track very fun. That's why I've almost had success here. I just get wrecked every time I come here. And I got to say, there is a part of me that wishes I was out there tonight. But as somebody that probably holds the record for the most DNFs in this league, I'm just very interested to see how these lead cars are going to maintain the race. You've got 3 teammates going 1, 2, 3 right now between Muir, Kenny, and Stafford. I feel like right now the smart move for these guys would be just stay in line. Let's communicate with one another. Hey, Kenny, if you're starting to overheat, if I'm Muir, I'm going to say, hey, get a run on me back here. Go around me on the outside. I'll drag my brake back a little bit. And we're just going to keep shuffling guys on and on through the line so that we can maintain this race.
And Robert Kenny just trying to stay ahead of the 61 with double points here tonight. I believe Bronson Stafford would have to finish 2 or 3 positions ahead of Robert Kenny to be able to take championship. If Kenny can just keep the 61 in close proximity, whether he's in front of him or behind him, he should be able to close out the deal here for this championship. The Dash for Dong battle is back on once again. Bronson Stafford, DJ Stagner, and Cam Barnes all literally in a square right now, with Barnes and Stagner side by side, 1 row behind the Monster Energy Toyota Bronson Stafford. So with that cash prize on the line, we've got those competitors back into the thick of this thing. Stagner now dropping back a little bit there. Might have been overheating. Might be getting back to a safe spot there. But Cam Barnes trying to fight it out with Sam Dyer for the Rookie of the Year honors as well. Good run here tonight for that 7. Needed that last caution to get back up in the lead pack after he's lost the draft. And Ty Smith with a moment back there gets shot to the apron.
And what a dream night it could be for Bronson Stafford. Win the championship, win a lot of Dong as well. This could be huge for him.
Could indeed. He would then be a 3-time champion in this series. And it's interesting because I was talking with Matthew Rodriguez about this earlier. when I talked with Bronson first half of the season, he said, man, I just can't find any luck. Nothing is going my way. And then it seemed like once we got to the Dega duels, something like the switch turned on and Bronson Stafford started ticking off top 10s and top 5s. He got that victory the last race we had at Daytona, which put him right up into the conversation here for this championship. And now Bronson Stafford at a track that he's very familiar with, a situation he's very familiar with, a season finale with a championship hanging in the balance, right there in the conversation once again.
And right up there at the front, 72, 76, trying to look to battle it out right now. But once again, now we've got 4 team cars lined up on the bottom. And that's exactly what these guys want right now. Hug the yellow line. Let's all work together and make this happen. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can't win the race right now. If I'm in the 76 or the 23 shoes, I might just stay behind these guys, save my stuff, not burn my tires off as much, trying to run side by side with these guys and continually side drafting. Just hang on. Get to the end of this race and then start making your push.
It's hard to see here visually if these drivers are up to full song or if they're maybe trying to back the pace down a little bit, because we went back green before halfway. We've only seen 1 round of green flag pit stops this season, and that was at the track nobody expected to see green flag pit stops, Atlanta Superspeedway. But depending on what the fuel situation looks like, if we continue to trend green from our last restart, we may end up seeing these drivers have to duck onto pit road before the checkered flag.
I can tell you this, with iRacing Superspeedway, I feel like there will be another caution at some point that's going to force these guys to have to come back down pit road.
You're already initiating the commentator's curse.
Oh, yeah, I love the commentator's curse. I'm great at it. 3 wide already, back again at the front of the field, the 83 and the 3, trying to make something work right up against the wall, but they're going to fall back. But don't worry, with the way this track works, they could fall in behind the 23, get a little bit of the suck off the back of his car, and next thing you know, they could be gunning for the lead. That's what's beautiful about iRacing Superspeedway. And when you know, they don't do it.
Nope, they break up and they're going to drop down to the bottom there. You had only 2 cars up on that outside line, that middle line there for a moment with the 76 and the 23. Now they'll pick up the outgoing champion, Ryan Potter, but looks like those Toyotas pretty committed to each other on the inside. They've now added Mike Tellier there to their ranks in that pink number 97. So unless they get a lot more cars up there on that outside line, I think the Sky Motorsports and Hula Monkey Alliance is going to be pretty tough to beat down on that yellow line. Up ahead, a couple of Fords, Chad Winstead and Dylan Poteet. Poteet there with all that damage sustained from being involved in both of the big wrecks we had in the early going. Now he's going to fall a lap down. Same for the 6 of Chad Winstead. Ooh, they're going to have to figure out how to get around these guys here. Tellier had to go to the apron to pass them.
And I'm not necessarily sure what caused that. I'm sure right there Muir is communicating to the rest of the team what's going on. We might want to go back and try to see what exactly was happening there, because I really feel like that was a lot less uniform than it should have been.
Yeah, we had the 31 and the 6 kind of holding their line down the inside, and Mike Tellier had to duck down to the apron there. I don't know if maybe the leaders wanted that inside line off the corner and the slower cars were wanting them to go around the top, but definitely looked like some miscommunication. They got broken up a bit, and they'll have to get back reorganized, but that could have been our 3rd caution very easily here. Look at the closing rate.
Yeah, and right there, I think Tellier saw risk versus reward in the sense of he could have easily forced the 76 car up the track to try to go 2 wide with those guys and staying on the actual racing surface and then blend back in with his teammates, or he can make a late move down below the yellow line and not hurt anybody. I just think that was kind of a matter of he knew that he could get back to his guys and it wasn't worth potentially causing a wreck with the 76. And hey, wouldn't you know, he's right back up there with them. Nothing gained, nothing lost.
He talked about the room, the space available here at this racetrack, and of course as well the ruling for this series where the apron is not considered out of bounds, so all those options available to Mike Tellier to avoid those slower machines and not put himself in the 76 into a really tight 3 wide off of turn 2. So yeah, good call there by Mike Tellier. You saw the powder blue 35 of Sam Dyer getting bypassed. He has fallen a lap down, so that is going to help Cam Barnes for the moment in regards to the Rookie of the Year battle. However, Cam's running at the tail end of this pack in 13th, so he's only got one position up on Sam Dyer, and Dyer came into this race 18 points up on Cam Barnes. So Cam's got to move his way forward a little bit more if he's going to take the Season 5 Rookie of the Year honors.
Relatively calm right now with Muir continuing to lead Bob Kinney. And right now, just nothing really happening throughout the entire field. We've only seen 2 cars really on the high side. And that's just the thing. It has just absolutely blown my mind this season that guys really want to race it out at the start. And then once it gets closer towards the end, they realize, okay, maybe we should finally go single file. And then we'll race it out in the final lap. So once these guys go single file for the most part, you're going to see guys get antsy, and at least the 76 and the 23 aren't going to waste any time, which is surprising though, because just 2 of them up there with the entire line of cars on the bottom are still holding suit.
Yeah, we've seen the ability for drivers to be able to tandem. They usually can't do it for very long. That pusher ends up having the water temp kick up, and they have to bail out after a couple of laps, but the tandeming, we've seen even at this racetrack, Bronson Stafford and Robert Kenny have done it together. We've seen Stafford and Shane Tyrion do it together. It is possible for 2 cars to be able to blow the doors off of a line of 6 or 7 if they do it correctly. I want to go back to the point you just brought up about the fact that we saw absolute carnage with the first 2 wrecks of the evening, even before we got to lap 10. A number of drivers badly damaged, several of them off the pace as a result at this point in time, and now we've kind of entered into a relative calm. Remember, the last time these drivers took a green flag was 2 weeks ago at Daytona, so we had the off week between then and tonight's championship race. Do you think that extra off week there might have had these drivers a little bit more anxious for tonight's green flag, and that's why we saw the aggressiveness that we did once we went racing here?
Of course, that plays a bit of a factor into it, especially when you have so many guys that are actually in contention for the championship. When you've got 8 guys that know that they at least have just a slight bit, and we see the first bit of pitting going down on the front straightaway right now. I believe we see Sebastian Miller might have been the one pitting there, and a whole group of them, the 83 of Sebastian Miller, the 18 of Ty Smith, Jason Shue, the 64 of DJ Stagner, and the 06 of Sean Billman. So we definitely know now the answer to the question we had earlier. These guys couldn't make it, and now it's all a matter of how do we execute these pit stops. The Sky Motorsports and Hula Monkey guys are very good at making sure that they execute pit strategy to a T. This is where a championship can be won or lost.
Like it was a Swamp and Quinn Motorsports conglomeration coming to pit road that time, about a half dozen drivers. Be interesting to see once everything cycles around where they will be positioned. You got the Toyotas of Sky Motorsports and Hula Monkey coming in this time, add in Jacob Holm, DeRoser, the lap car of Matt Dyer. So going to be a pretty even number of cars that are going to be merging onto the racetrack a lap separate from each other.
And the big thing here is do not speed. I repeat, do not speed. We saw Matt Muir kind of getting a little loose coming in the pit road there. He had the brakes locked up. So now these guys are presumably going to throw on 4 tires, and from someone like Stafford, he's going to use his fast repair there. He's assuming that this could go green to the end, and he wants to have his car at full song.
It's like Ryan Potter. You can see he's also taken on his fast repair. I think probably most drivers that had the fast repair available and have damaged race cars would utilize this particular pit stop to be able to get their car back to 100%. Stafford winning the battle off of pit road for his group over Matt Muir and Mike Tellier. Now we got to see Group A to Group B. Who gets out in front by how much? Who has the most momentum? Because you saw there, the 83 and the 1, they're up to full song. These drivers going to take them a little bit of time here to get organized and get back up to full speed.
And a lot of separation between the Sky guys right now. Robert Kinney must not have had a good exit or entry into his pit. He's going to get passed up here, and if he doesn't get onto these guys' drafts right here, he might be in risk of actually losing the draft and perhaps losing a championship.
Absolutely. We'll see if he can stay in touch with this group of 5. DJ Stagner, the last car in that group. They're now coming up on the 23 of DeRoser as we're on board with Kenny. Looks like he's in the slipstream. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to get up there to them or not.
These cars have a pretty extreme slipstream, but he might be right on the cusp of being able to maintain it or not. So
it looks like he's closing. At least from here, it looks like visibly he is closing in, so I think he's okay. But yeah, that's literally on razor's edge maybe of how far back you can possibly be.
But we've got a 3-car breakaway out front with the Sky Guys, and that just shows you, like I said, these guys can execute pit strategy perfectly almost every single time. That's where a lot of these super speedway races are won for these guys. But now it's going to be a matter of, are they going to be able to maintain the gap? And if these guys do get back to them, are they going to try to throw blocks? Or are they just going to say, hey, we're going to hug the yellow line. We're committed to being down here. And a smart move by this pack of cars back here, getting single file. Let's not run all together and whatnot. We can't get to them if we're just side by side. Now they're going to have to hope that there's power in numbers.
Cam Barnes in the 7. We see him out in front still leading. He's going to have to come to pit road at some point here. There's no way he can make it on fuel if all the rest of the leaders didn't, but maybe banking on a yellow flag to be able to get himself some track position here. Maybe a little strategy call out of that 7 machine. Remember, the only car that he is racing right now in terms of a season title would be the 35 of Sam Dyer, who is currently 16th, 1 lap down. So if Cam Barnes can lead a couple of laps here, garner some bonus points, that could be the difference between him being Rookie of the Year or Rookie of the Year runner-up. As we look at this battle here, this group continuing to try and close in on the top 3, and I want to go back to what you're saying about if they catch them, what do the top 3 do? Is Bronson Stafford in a position where he can throw a block? Because we saw he took the faster pair on there on that last pit stop. If he throws a block, it goes wrong and he is crashed. That could be a block that costs him the entire championship.
Exactly. Your season comes down to one race. And wouldn't you know who's going to be the one to try to affect it all? Ryan Potter, our defending champion, is absolutely pushing right onto the back of Sebastian Miller right now. And he's got a nice little bubble push as well from the 18 of Ty Smith. So right now we see Muir's probably trying to get some air to his bumper, but he's also going to kind of act as a block here. He's going to force the 83 to make a decision right here. They're just going to fall in line. No, they're going to go to the high side, and let's see what happens. Does Stafford throw a block, or are they just going to let these guys go by with the momentum?
There's the push once again. Ryan Potter right in that right rear quarter panel of Sebastian Miller, and he'll get him alongside of Bronson Stafford for the race lead. Sebastian Miller already caught up in one of the earlier incidents today while fighting for the top position. And the last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, he actually visited above the catch fence just past the start-finish line heading into turn number 1. So looking for a little bit of iRacing Superspeedway redemption here tonight.
I've made that climb up the catch fence here before. It's not fun in the virtual sense. It's especially frustrating on the last lap. One of the more surprising things here is, yes, there was power in numbers in the draft, but now can't really hang on or get past the leaders right now, running everyone on the high side. It's going to take very consistent pushes. Tellier's going to try to go up to the high side here. Is this a block, or was he actually trying to get up?
Yeah, hard to tell there, right? If it was trying to make a move to be able to lead that line, Sebastian Miller, Ryan Potter and company wanted none of it. They're going to stick him in the sucker hole, and maybe the 97 moving out there was exactly what they needed, because it then left 2 cars on the bottom, and Miller almost cleared for the top position there.
Well, Miller absolutely cleared for the top position, but he never really took advantage of it. I don't know if he didn't trust himself or was just too worried about causing an accident, but right there, that was his opportunity to try to really go after this, and now you're just going to hand Stafford the lead again, and I don't know. That was definitely a questionable call.
And one driver that is notably missing up here, we thought that he was maybe going to be able to latch on to the second pack, but Robert Kenny is all the way back by his lonesome in the 12th position. He needs a caution to be able to get back into this conversation. With where Stafford is running right now, looks like Cam Barnes has actually hit pit road from the lead, but with where Stafford is running right now in relation to Robert Kenny, Stafford would absolutely be at the top of the point standings to take his 3rd championship. Now, we have to also remember that we have the potentiality of unlimited overtime green-white checkers, so it's not over yet for the 10, but he needs them to get really racy up here in this lead pack.
I got to give you a lot of credit. I thought potentiality was a made-up word, and I just learned a new word today. Let's see if that sneaks onto the social media pages for Charlotte Motor Speedway sometime in the future.
Walking encyclopedia, I guess I'll call myself for this one.
Latent qualities or abilities that may be developed and lead to future success or usefulness. Perfect usage, 10 out of 10.
Battle for this lead continues on. Pretty even numbers on the top and bottom. 5 on the outside, 5 on the inside, and pretty even going into the first corner there. Really just comes down to the second and third cars in line. But again, Matt Muir, the second car on that inside line, you gotta wonder, he's committed to the 61, but for how long can he stay on the back bumper? On the top side there, same deal for Ryan Potter because of the water temperature thing. We ended up seeing, I think it was after they made the pit stop, Matt Muir was behind Bronson Stafford. He then moved to the outside, let Mike Tellier on by, and dropped into third. They were doing a good job of kind of alternating, so that way each one had some clean air to the nose and the opportunity to cool the engine down. Now they're pinned on the inside, and we nearly just had Matt Muir into the outside wall as he and the 83 hooked some bumpers off of 4.
And we have officially unlocked chaos here within the final 6 laps. But right now, I'm still just shocked that the top line really can't make any moves to get past these leaders. Stafford has been so strong, and I've harped on it all race. People think it's probably favoritism. Yes, I do run for his team a lot. But you can't let the man just keep the lead. And I was so shocked when Sebastian Miller didn't try to get down to the bottom a couple of laps ago whenever we had the issues going into turn 1. And now, I mean, I got to feel like you're going to push your teammate to help them win a championship. So I don't know what you do here. You're going to have to do something extreme if you're one of these guys on the high side.
I was wondering, the last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, it was the daytime conditions. The sun had been beaten down on the racetrack, so it was a little bit slicker. Do you think the fact that we're kind of in the twilight and the dusk portion of the day, maybe that the track a little cooler, so the inside line has a little bit more grip,
interesting
more
move
speed?
from Stafford here. He moved up to the top for some reason.
And it's not going to pan out for him. Sebastian Miller says, no. He goes up to the third lane, and now Stafford's going to get stuck in the sucker hole.
And who knows, maybe these guys are doing some calculations on the championship right now, knowing that maybe he doesn't feel like he has to win this race, but I surely wouldn't want to see the 83 of Sebastian Miller sitting up there contending for the win.
Now it's Mike Tellier and Sebastian Miller for the top position. Yeah, with Bronson Stafford dropping back in the middle of this pack too, you saw right there, DeRosa on the inside, got loose, almost came up the racetrack into him. He's putting himself in a bit of a perilous spot here, right in the middle of, maybe in the eye of the storm, so to speak. Now he'll be on the back bumper of the one of Ryan Potter, pushing him. I'm not certain I would have given up the bottom if I was Bronson Stafford.
I absolutely wouldn't have either, but I question moves that he made at the beginning of the race and got right back up there to the front. So, you know, I'm gonna let the two-time champion cook. I'm just gonna trust him and see. There's a reason I'm up here and not in the field anymore.
Well, he also knows that, I believe mathematically, if he finishes 2 positions ahead of Robert Kenny, he's got this championship wrapped up. So right now, currently in the 8th position, Kenny currently by himself in the 11th spot. So he is in a position where he would be ahead of Kenny points-wise to be able to take the championship.
But here's why that isn't a smart move, though, because if there's a wreck up here and he gets involved in it and Kenny passes him, he just lost the championship. And a big move to the top side by the one of Ryan Potter with a huge push from Ty Smith. He's going to try to get back down to the bottom. Thinks a little bit better of it. Doesn't know if he has Sebastian Miller necessarily cleared. And we're going to be 3 wide for the lead coming through turns 1 and 2.
Here's the only thing I can possibly think of in the strategy of Stafford giving up the lead and dropping back here. Oh, is right there in front of him. Mike Tellier and Ryan Potter make some contact. Maybe have the wreck in front of you, because remember our 2 previous cautions today were wrecks that took place at the very front of the field. Maybe Stafford feels if he's the leader, the way these guys are racing aggressively for the top spot is, oh my goodness.
This looks like a good spot to be in right now.
No, not at the moment.
There's no strategy behind that. Right
There's
now,
no
you just
safe
want to be
place.
in the
Never
lead.
mind.
There is
We are-
absolutely no safe place to be.
We're trying to have a candidate for caution number 3 here as we're 3 wide, 2 rows deep, and we're at 2 laps to go here when they hit the stripe. And it's going to be Bronson Stafford hoping that they mind their P's and Q's here for these final 6 miles, but not certain if that's going to be a request that'll be granted.
Absolutely, and we've seen a lot of shuffling throughout the field. He's going to try to go below the yellow line here. If I'm Sebastian Miller, I'm going to leave no room. You better clear me. Here we go. A little bit of contact. One gets into the back of the 83. He's going to have to back out of it. Stafford back to the lead with
Bronson
the push
Stafford,
from Muir.
all he needs is to get through 3 and 4 and see the white flag. If we have a caution before the leader takes the white, we go into overtime. But if he can take the white flag, race is official, and we race back to the checkers.
So here we go, the 83 getting aggressive, maybe thinking about pushing the 72. Not sure if he wants to cause a little bit of calamity there. White flag, 1 lap to go in this season. Who's going to win the championship?
Bronson Stafford back to the point after he got shuffled back to around 6th or 7th. Matt Muir is his wingman. Look at the gap back there. Sebastian Miller might be trying to generate a run. He's got Ryan Potter there with him. Now for Bronson Stafford, he doesn't have to win this race to win the championship, but he'd like to do both in the same night. Here comes Miller with the run up the middle. Stafford will not throw the block. Miller's got a lot of help in that middle groove.
Big pushes coming from Ryan Potter. Sebastian Miller's going to dive down. Oh, Stafford's going to have to be careful here because if he wrecks, that could lose him the championship. He's getting aggressive on the back of the number 1 car coming down the front straightaway.
Ooh, almost
Oh,
contact
and here's the
made.
wreck.
Oh, Stafford's going to get hooked. He's going to get hooked. Is he going to cross the line is the question.
No, that's...
He's not crossed the start-finish line yet. Where's the 10?
He just
crossed the line.
Start-finish
He
line.
just crossed it.
I believe he still wins the championship. We're gonna have to take some time to review this here because I'm not sure who the champion is yet.
Sebastian Miller is the winner of this race. This much we know. But yeah,
Right.
it's gonna come down to that final wreck if it's gonna be deemed on the 61 potentially, right?
Wow. So right now we see Bronson Stafford finishes 9th. Robert Kinney finishes 11th.
Oh.
So we're going to have to look at.
Oh, that's so close.
Here.
I'm glad I'm not calculating the points.
So Matthew Rodriguez has said he's going to go look at the points and see where everything lines up right now. But I believe what we're going to do is we're going to have to take a look at what exactly transpired there at the end. We forget there's a winner, Sebastian Miller.
Sebastian Miller, who the last time, as I mentioned, we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, DNF'd because he went up above the catch fence, and now he becomes the 9th different winner on the season. Everything happens behind him as he drives away from the calamity. Everybody else behind him was involved in the wreck. He's the only one that got through.
Sometimes you just have to be lucky, and right there, you're lucky that you're not the one that's getting hooked and it's the guy behind you. But my goodness, I've seen a lot of things in this league. I've seen a lot of wrecks. I've seen some big wrecks. I've never seen the entire field effectively wreck outside of the leader coming to the start-finish line, much less to decide the champion.
Stafford was around the 4th position. No, 3rd place, as we see here with the onboard coming off of turn 4. And right there, moves up, gets clipped by DJ Stagner, and crosses the line 6 positions below where he probably would have finished had he not been involved in that wreck, and now calls into question if he has got this championship or not. Robert Kinney needed this to happen. This is exactly the scenario he needed, was for Stafford to finish near the back half of that lead pack because he was almost guaranteed he was going to finish in 11th place. And now with double points, we're going to have to find out if there was enough points accumulated by Stafford or not. Bear in mind, there's also bonus points. I don't know who led the most laps here this evening. Stafford was out in front for a good portion.
I think we're getting the call right now for who the champion is. Sebastian Miller's the champion.
Oh my gosh.
Sebastian Miller won the championship on the last lap because of the crash. Unbelievable. He put himself in the position to win the race. He wins the race. Calamity breaks out behind him. He's the only one to cross the start-finish line. Sebastian Miller's the champion.
Sebastian Miller came into this race 6th in points, 65 points back. But with the double points on the line, the points payout for winning the race accumulates enough to be able to take the points win by 5 points over Robert Kenny, 14 over Bronson Stafford.
Oh my goodness. I mean, listen, not to be corny, I am a corny person, but have you ever?
And
No,
here's the thing,
I've never.
Who'd we talk about at the beginning of the night? We talked about Kenny, Stafford, and Poteet as the big three. Sebastian Miller says, hey, what about me? I'm in this conversation too, and what a statement here tonight. I don't think we've had in the past a driver win the race, the finale, and the championship in the same night. Miller may be the first.
David versus Goliath, and oh my God, I am speechless. I am left without words for how this season finishes, and I'm going to be very interested to talk to Stafford after this race, because you're going to have to feel like he's going to have to feel like he ended up throwing that away. And I told you I would have just stayed in the bottom lane, because you were just asking yourself to get involved in something with being in the middle of the pack, and what coming down the front straightaway. We can't even say out of turn 4. It's coming down the front straightaway. You get involved in the wreck, and the guy that you're least expecting to beat you for the championship wins the race and takes your championship. It's his.
The biggest thing that hit Bronson Stafford and Robert Kenny, for Kenny, he finished outside the top 10. We talked about it. You finished outside the top 10, you're guaranteed a maximum of 5 points. He did get 2 points for leading left, so he left with 7 points times 2, 14 points. That definitely had him free fall through the point standings. For Bronson Stafford finishing in 9th, he ended up getting 15 points for his positioning, 7 points for leading a lap and getting the pole. That accumulated to 22 points, which doubled his 44 points. How about for Sebastian Miller? You win the race, that's 75 points. You then add 2 bonus points for leading that lap that took the checkered flag. That's 77 points, double that. You're looking at 154 points for him, and that huge chunk is what got him from 6th to the points lead to close out this championship.
Unbelievable. I still can't believe what we saw. I mean, right there, what we saw on the bottom, Stafford was pushing the one car. He moved up a little bit. I don't know if he was trying to make a move, but he made contact with the 64. That got the 64 into Tellier. It was almost as if he decided his own fate. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And I tell you what, let's shut me up. Let's get some of these guys up here that finished in the top 3.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can dial up the driver that brought it home in the 3rd position here tonight, and that would be a driver who formerly won here earlier on this season. Let's see if we get a hold of Mike Tellier. Hey, Mike, it's Joey and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I got you.
Well, absolute pandemonium off of turn 4 turned into everybody from second on back just scrambling to get back to the start finish line. You've been there before. You've seen the wreck in your rearview mirror when coming around to take the checkered flag. What was it like there with the championship hanging in the balance? So many different drivers in the points category to be able to take this championship, getting a front row seat of all of that.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a front row seat. I think I saw a split second of Ryan Potter turning hard right from something, and so I was like, I gotta go left, and that's all about all I remember. I don't even know how the wreck happened. I don't know. I wish we could get across the line cleanly and have a decent finish. These wrecks to end races are, I don't know, they shouldn't be happening as much as they are, but it's super speedway racing. Kind of glad the series is taking a break for a little bit, not gonna lie.
Well, but you do finish off the season with the top 3 finish. Tell us about how you feel about your race overall. Was this a race that you felt like you were in contention to win, or did you feel like you were going to try to help your teammates win a championship?
Oh, this whole season, since starting off without a wheel to race on, was all about team championship. And thankfully, at the end of the day, we are the best team, and Sky Motorsports is bringing home the trophy. So my goal is accomplished. This third place helped out a bunch, seeing how Bronson and Matt didn't have a good finish. But it is what it is. We got the trophy. It wasn't the drivers' championship that we were hoping to get, like a double championship, but we'll take one of them. So hardware's hardware. Good job on the championship, everyone.
Well, Mike, a great run for you to close out the season here. You gained another 5 points in the standings to finish out the year, 8th in overall standings. You mentioned about missing the first couple of races, so a good comeback for you there in the second half of the season. Had a victory on the year as well here at iRacing Superspeedway. So congratulations on a great season overall and a good way to cap it off. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Sky Motorsports for being the best teammates out there on a super speedway. I'd like to thank you, everyone who's watching the broadcast. Hopefully they still are. So Eclipse, Silly, Sam, Indy, Celine, I don't know if they're watching. And lastly, I'd like to say, or shout out Akashi, I love you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple minutes in VR chat.
Mike Teller, your third place finisher here tonight in the season finale at iRacing Superspeedway. Congratulations on the great run here tonight. Let's see if we can now get a hold of our second place finisher, highest finishing rookie here tonight, and garners his first top 5 of his career. Let's dial up Cole DeRoser. Hey Cole, it's Joey and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Certainly, gentlemen.
First top 10 in the season, first top 5 on the season, and it happens here in a wild finish off of turn number 4. We're going on board in the replay here with your number 23. Describe what it was like from the driver's standpoint of view there in that final closing lap.
Well, it was crazy. I mean, for me and Jacob just running there, being a 2-car tandem for most of the last bit, figured we had a strong chance to actually do something about it, and then it's just a white knuckle from here. Anything was happening. I was launching my inside, making sure nothing was going to come up and take us out of it, but it was... it's something.
Yeah, so have you ever almost gotten a concussion trying to finish second place? Because the amount of shots you took on the front straightaway just absolutely blows my mind. How were you actually able to hang on to that car?
That is a very good question. My concussions are preventing me from answering that. No, I just...
When you look at the race overall, though, we saw a lot of aggression. So is this just one of those things that you were kind of expecting it there at the end? So like you said before, you're just kind of white knuckle. Whatever happens is what happens, but my only goal is to make sure that I go straight at the end.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. I figured we were the final few laps. Same thing was going to happen. That's why here you see me move down to the inside. I figured something was going to happen either from the backstretch onwards and have my best opportunity to make a great escape. And not be a ping pong ball.
Well, a phenomenal run for you here tonight. Your best finish of the season in the last race of the season. Highest finishing rookie here tonight as well. And able to get through the early calamity as well to be able to put yourself in a position to get this podium finish here tonight. So congratulations. Job well done, Cole. Before we let you go, though, and maybe get those concussions checked out, we're going to give you the opportunity for some thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Well, I appreciate it, gentlemen. I would like to thank Dylan Poteet for bringing me out here to have some fun. Just the Toyota camp and my lucky Hot Wheels ride today.
Cole DeRoser brings it home second place here in the season finale at iRacing Superspeedway. Bringing it home in the runner-up position. Congratulations once again on the great run to close out the year there, Cole.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, we go down to victory lane and championship victory lane. He's already got the championship trophy in hand. Let's dial up the Season 5 Upper Edge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series champion, Sebastian Miller. Sebastian, it's Joey and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hello.
Well, I'll tell you what,
you guys.
This is such a crazy series, a crazy point system. Incredible racing at these racetracks that we have here, but tonight we knew there were about 6 drivers in the hunt for this championship, double points, we kind of were just going to wait and see how the points were calculated, because to try and manually do it in one's head with all the moving pieces there is in super speedway racing, it's really difficult to be able to figure out who's ahead, who's second, who's third. But looked like you had a goal right from the outset. Get this 83 to the front, stay at the front. Did you know when you crossed the start-finish line and picked up this win that you had the championship locked up?
Like you had mentioned, everything gets so crazy. I have no time to do any sort of math in my head, but I knew I had a really good shot at it. I knew that I had bonus points from coming from the back to the front. I knew I had laps led, and obviously the win and the position points from that. I knew with all that being doubled, it would be greatly in my favor. So I just can't believe that everything played its way out and worked together. We got our first win, and it turned into our first championship. So that's just incredible. The racing with everyone has been fun. It's been crazy all season long. Just being able to race with friends and tough competitors out there makes us special.
Now take us through this final lap here. We're currently on board with you going down the back straightaway. Whenever you got that run, we noticed it had been really tough for the top line to make moves the entire race. Did it ever get to a point where you pulled out on the back straightaway? Were you sure that you were going to... Were you sure you were going to get up to the lead, or did you just think, this is my last-ditch effort, what it is what it is?
It was my only shot. I couldn't sit there and ride. I couldn't go to sleep at night knowing that I didn't make a shot at it. I knew everyone else behind me was going to make a run at it too, because it's, going in the last corner of the last lap, you're not going to sit there and ride. The cards just played out in our favor, and we came home victorious.
Yeah, I got to ask, too, about, the never-give-up mentality, because if you go back to the last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, you made the highlight reel, but maybe not necessarily for the right reason. You were up above the catch fence there, just past the start-finish line, and here tonight you were involved in an earlier wreck and had to take that faster pair on early. So how did you have to adapt your strategy here this evening with the high-pressure situation of mathematically coming into this race with a shot at the championship?
It's just, sometimes you just get a feeling where you just have to go, and you can't just sit around and ride. You need to learn about the runs of the cars and who you're all racing with. It's a learning process every lap, just where you are on track, and we learned a lot tonight, and it once again just played in our favor. I can't believe it.
So when you take a look at your season as a whole, was this something that you truly expected to be able to be contending for the championship at the very end, or was especially going into tonight? We'll even stay up here in the broadcast booth. We were talking about other drivers being favorites to win the championship. You came in sixth, and there were 8 drivers that we said could potentially win this championship, and it's kind of the David versus Goliath story. How much did you truly expect something like this to happen tonight?
I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. I just knew that I had to do what I could and control what I could. And we made mistakes. It wasn't a perfect race by any means. It wasn't a perfect season. That's our first win ever in this series. So, which is honestly just incredible in itself with how competitive it is. But I just, there's no pressure whenever you go into it. You're not holding a lead. You're not in the top. You're kind of, like you said, not in the mix for it. So there's no pressure. Just go out there, do what you can, and see where the cards fall.
Well, Sebastian, a great job for you here this evening, able to not only pick up your first win of your career, but also the championship in one nice little tidy package here at iRacing Superspeedway. We'll let you get back to your celebrating in a moment, but first, the floor is yours for some championship thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much to everyone at O'Quinn Racing, Keystone. It's a whole lot of people there. Obviously, Sean Billman, Carl Faust, Roberto, they've been great teammates all season. Everyone at the Swamp has been just great, friendly to me for ever since that. I've been on the service and even well before then. Thank you to everyone. This is very special. Thank you to Dylan Body, Matt Rod. This wouldn't be possible without you.
Well, Sebastian Miller, he's not only the winner of the season finale here this evening, but he is your Season 5 Upper Edge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series champion. Congratulations on the job well done there, Sebastian. Go and enjoy this moment, and best of luck here in the upcoming future seasons. If we end up having a 6th season, you'll be coming in as the defending champion, so best of luck on that road to maybe be a 2-time champ in the series.
Absolutely, and thank you guys for the broadcast all season. It's been great.
Sebastian Miller, your winner and champion here this evening at iRacing Superspeedway. We talk about the unpredictability of superspeedway racing, and then I've harped on the unorthodox point system that there is here for this particular series, and both factors came into play here tonight, Joey.
You know, I've been taking the last 10 minutes or so to go back and watch those final couple of laps just to see where everything changed, kind of messaging some of these drivers and whatnot and trying to see what's necessarily going on. So I want to go ahead and I want to take this back to about lap 51. The first thing that I notice is when Stafford moved up to the high line to try to block Sebastian Miller. Right there, he moved up because his teammate Mike Tellier says that he is overheating, so Stafford moves up. The reason I believe that that was the wrong move from Stafford is because we're doing great on the bottom. I might just tell him, hey man, you're just going to have to go to the back. I want to hold this right here, because as soon as he moves up, that gave a lot of momentum to the high lane that was never really able to compete with them before, and next thing you know, that's where the field is now fully together, and a lot of guys feel like they have a chance at winning it. Then we take a look at the final lap. The final lap, it's the final lap at a super speedway race. Stafford has the lead pretty much the entire last lap up until going into turn 3. That's whenever the 83 is getting a great push from Ryan Potter. There's a little bit of back and forth that goes on about, you know, was Potter full throttle the entire final lap? Is he dragging brake a little bit? Potter definitely wanted to get in front of the 61 and help the 83 win this race. Absolutely no doubt about it. So we'll take a look up here. We're going to get a replay of the final lap, and we'll walk you through this. Matt Muir has done an incredible job pushing his teammates all season. And right here, he's going to try to stay tucked up right behind Stafford. And if there's anybody in this league that can take a push from anyone, it's going to be Bronson Stafford. But the 72 right here is basically going to try to be the sacrificial lamb. He wants to try to stay behind him to be sure that he can keep pushing him. If my engine blows up, so be it. But right here, this is where the 83 of Sebastian Miller is going to get the run. Ryan Potter pushing him right alongside. You're a sitting duck right here if you're the 83 and the 72. This is where it's going to get interesting. These guys are going to go down into turn 3, and this is where guys start to get a little bit upset because the 72, or pardon me, the 1 dives down in front of the 61. And when we look at the throttle inputs, it goes from about 196 to hovering about 193, 192. But that's just kind of part of it. He's trying to defend for somebody that he's trying to help win the race here. Causes a little bit of a stack up. I understand frustration from other drivers and whatnot. But at the end of the day, this is the final lap of a super speedway race. This is what happens when the championship comes down to one race with this point system. And right there, if I'm Stafford, maybe I would have tried to go below the yellow line and force him to wreck me, or maybe I just back out of it and try to avoid calamity. I'm not entirely sure. You know, these things, you're trying to process them all in a split second on the final lap. So obviously, guys are going to be frustrated. You're frustrated that you didn't win the championship. You know, it's easy to say, could have done this, could have done that, but at the end of the day, Sebastian Miller's the champion. He made all the right moves, and did he get a little help from a friend? Sure, he might have, but at the end of the day, you know, that's what teammates are for.
Well, having to make split-second decisions, perfect segue into the race tonight, the split-second finish 165, because that's exactly what we saw in those final 3 miles. Here's a look at your official results from this evening. How about Bronson Stafford, though? He's not going to win the championship, but he is going to be the Dash for Dong winner here tonight, so he'll be about $50 richer. Sam Dyer, you're going to see later on here, he ends up winning Rookie of the Year, and then, of course, you heard there from Mike Tellier, Sky Motorsports, taking the team championships. But how about some of these drivers closing out the season with good finishes? We talked with Cole DeRoser, Ty Smith, good run there in 4th, Sean Billman in 6th. Jacob Holm finally finishes a race inside of the top 5. He's had speed all season long, has not had the results to show for it, and finally gets himself a top 5 finish to close out the year.
And, you know, we'll go ahead and spread some news here on this broadcast because there is definitely no uncertainty about the future of the Super Speedway League right now. It is definitely not going on any further. So I believe we did just witness our final Upper Edge Super Speedway Series race, and there was a lot on the line tonight. A lot of guys might have assumed that something like this might be the case. People want to win. It could be the final race for the league. We do have that confirmed. At the end of the day, you're going for it on the last lap. You make a lot of moves during a race. Sometimes you make the right moves. Sometimes you make the wrong moves. We can debate who made the right and wrong moves, but at the end of the day, a deserving champion is Sebastian Miller. You have an entire season's worth of work that gets you up to this point to be able to be in contention, and he's going to walk out a champion, and nobody's taking it from him.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Sebastian Miller on the job well done here tonight. Gets the checkered flag and the championship trophy in one incredible evening. Well, folks, we appreciate you joining us here this evening for coverage of the split-second finish 165 from iRacing Superspeedway, the season finale, Season 5 of the Upper Edge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series. We expected to have a nail-biting finish. We were not disappointed, and we hope that you guys enjoyed our coverage here on Split Second Broadcasting and FRN. A big thank you once again here tonight and the entire of the season to our producer, Jeff Johnson, who's brought you the incredible shots you've seen all season long. Joey, a great race here tonight. Good job on not killing anybody with the choose brick, and I appreciate having you up here in the booth here tonight for this one.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to run in this league, and it's always a pleasure to get to call these races with you, you know, especially as I move on into my new role at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That may not have the time to do these things as much, so anytime that I can get an opportunity to jump up in the booth with you, it's always been a pleasure for these races whenever I'm suspended, or a night like tonight where I just say, screw it, I just want to call the race. Always a pleasure, Seth, and you do a phenomenal job with these races yourself. And how about Jeff Johnson? Great broadcast work by him, getting us all the angles and replays all night.
Absolutely. Tremendous credit to him. Well, if you guys haven't had your fill of championship races, we've got 4 of them for you next week as we're determining not 1, not 2, not 3, but we've just tonight ended up getting signed for a 4th championship race for Rolling Thunder Gaming. So we're going to be coming at you on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night next week. Be sure to join us for all of those championships hanging in the balance in their 61st season of their respective series. And then we got the All-Star races for them the following week. So a lot of championships still to be decided here in the upcoming week. But tonight we know that the championship goes to one Sebastian Miller out of Oak Quinn Motorsports. Congratulations once again to him. For Jeff Johnson, our producer, for Joey Chapman, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next time here on FRN and Split Second Broadcasting. We're watching another broadcast here of the Upper Edge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.